I'm gonna win big and then I'll quit. I'll stop gambling when I break even. I'm due for a big win. It's been forever. Stop lying to yourself. It's keeping you addicted to gambling. Did you know you could be addicted to gambling? Because the chances are you probably didn't. It's estimated that 94% of people who are clinically addicted to gambling never seek help for it. Today, I want to share some of the lies that I told myself during my gambling addiction so that you can maybe wake up to the fact that either you or maybe it's your friend has been lying to themselves and to other people about the reality of their gambling. And by the end of this video, I want you to fully understand the truth about what will happen to you if you go down the same path with your life that I went down with mine. One thing that I used to tell myself all the time was that sports betting wasn't the same as gambling. I somehow in my twisted mind was able to separate the two. I would say, I know about sports. I know about the trends, the stats, what the past results have been. So I must be able to use this information to infer the future about what will happen in the games that I want to gamble on. Whereas the casino, oh, that's random chance. You know, the roulette wheel, it's obvious, right? If it lands red 10 times, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a 50-50 chance the next time anyway. Well, not 50-50. The odds of winning your spin in roulette when picking black or red is 50%. That's just not true. With a single zero roulette wheel, your odds of winning a red or black bet are about 48.6%. That 1.4% is where the house gets you. But when it came to sports betting, I consistently found a way to do mental gymnastics to keep myself gambling. I would say that's my way to make money and the casino is my way to have fun. So when I make my money sports betting, then I can actually make it a business. Whereas if I make money casino, it's just dumb luck. That's what I would tell myself. The reality was that sports betting was gambling, but I kept lying to myself because I didn't want to accept that as a reality, because then my actions would start to come into question. Why was I spending 8 hours a day on sports betting? That would be spending 8 hours a day gambling. That would be a bad thing. I knew that back then. But I kept telling myself, this is investing. This is much smarter. I have to use my brain. I have to find trends. And it was just a lie. There's lots of people out there that'll tell you sports betting is something you can profit in, and they're absolutely lying to you. Either one of two things is true in this situation. One, they haven't been gambling long enough to see that in the end they will lose money. Every sports bet contains what's called a house edge, and in that case it's called a vig, which is the reason why in the end you will not make money sports betting even if you were to win slightly over half of the bets that you're making, which is pretty much the only thing you can hope for when it comes to making picks. The second is that they're trying to sell you something. Whether they make their profits from ad revenue, making videos about their picks, or they actually try to get you to pay for those picks. People out there are scammers and liars, and most of the time those sports betting scams are structured so that they just have to keep bringing people in to keep making money. Their results, it's more like flipping a coin. Now, if you want to avoid making the same mistakes with your life that I made with mine, then I want you to smash that subscribe button. Because for 6 years, I held on to false beliefs like that and the ones that I'm going to talk about next, just so that I could keep gambling. I was so hooked to it that I could spin a slot in my pocket and listen to it through a pair of headphones, and I would know based on the sound coming in through my ears how much money I had won or lost on that bet. That's how bad my addiction got. And if you go down that path, you are going to find nothing except sadness, depression, frustration, and broken dreams. It might sound dramatic, but it's completely true. It's not true that you're going to stop after you break even. I used to tell myself all the time when I was down money gambling that if I was just to get all the money back that I had lost, then I would be satisfied and I'd walk away. But if you have a gambling addiction, this is exactly what happens. Say by some miracle you have a win and you break even. Well, now all the pressure that you were previously feeling as a result of being down money and having your back against the wall is gone. And now, I can just make some small bets for fun. Oh, I lost those? Well, I have to get them back. Oh, I lost that? All right, I gotta chase. I gotta get this back. And whether it happens that day or years down the road, you will eventually find yourself in the exact same predicament of being in debt as a result of your gambling. Because if we keep playing, we will unfortunately keep losing money. That is the truth. But we tell ourselves that we'll stop when we'll break even because our brains are looking for that justification to make that next bet, even though we're looking at the results of doing so, right? Gambling addiction is the only addiction where you can trick yourself into thinking that you can solve all your problems with one big win. But the problem is that even if you have that big win, it just leads to more problems in the end because you don't learn anything. That's why when you look at something like Gamblers Anonymous, one of their main things is not to bail anyone out that has a gambling addiction, meaning not to give them money to pay off their debts. Because if you do that, then the pressure's off, right? It's just like getting a big win for them. Because now, hey, there's no pressure. Now I can go back to doing what I was doing before without having my back against the wall. It is your brain playing tricks on you to keep you gambling. Do not fall for it. It is a lie. And it's tough to fight these urges to go and do it when you have these thoughts. But the truth that you have to remember is that all wins eventually become future losses. And another lie that you're telling yourself is that you're due for a win. Every single bet is an independent event. What happened in the past has no impact on what will happen in the future. There's all these people out there that study analytics and they study trends in sports, but they don't factor in that, one player having his shoelace slightly too loose could cause him to trip, which could cause him to get injured and lose the game for your team. They don't factor in the fact that if it's 5 degrees warmer than anticipated, then the baseball won't fly as far, so the over-under is going to be iffy. There's so many factors that play into a sport that there's no way for you to accurately predict with confidence over time what will happen. You are not due for a win. The team that you're betting on is not due for a win. Anything can happen because this is a brand new game. And when anything can happen, it's always going to mathematically favor the house because every bet contains that house edge. Now, if you're dealing with all of these false beliefs, there's 4 things that you need to focus on to get yourself away from gambling and live a happier and healthier life. I made my last bet November the 12th, 2022, and since then, I've used these 4 things to keep me clean from gambling every single day. The first is find alternative things to do with your time. If you are constantly gambling, you need to fill that time with something to do, or you're gonna be sitting around feeling sorry for yourself. Doesn't mean that you have to enjoy it right away, but you have to get out there and just keep yourself busy until your brain begins to reset itself. That will happen, but you have to be patient. Second way to resist the urges and temptations is to limit your access to money. If you get an urge and you want to gamble, but you can't access your debit card to make that deposit, you're going to be okay. So what I did was I gave control of my finances to my family in the beginning, and it made a huge difference for me because when I did have an urge to gamble, I now couldn't do it. I only had cash, and that cash was enough to get me through the week. The third thing is to self-exclude from the casinos to make it as difficult as possible to gamble. And the fourth is to go to support group meetings to find a community to be accountable to. If you want a deeper dive into these 4 things, check out this video that I made because it's going to go into detail on how you can start implementing these steps today. I just want you to know that things are going to get better, but it's all going to happen one day at a time.